So glad we changed that song up. Welcome, everybody. This is Tony Cotillo, Heat Ratio Sports Fantasy Firebox, episode 21, joined by the Quad Box once again. My man Dan Green, Jason Sullivan, Pittsburgh, John Coker, and as always, you have the infamous Jigsaw at your service. And I have to let right in on, I am so upset right now. Before we even talk about the review of the show, okay, because we are going to talk some Russell Wilson, Antonio Gibson. We're going to talk some Baker Mayfield, some Jalen Hurts for all you Philadelphia fans out there. But I have to say, man, I had almost, what's up, Trevor, checking in as always right off the bat. I had almost an impeccable run in fantasy football that came to an end, unfortunately. I started off the season. I only joined one standard league this year. That's it. Just one. And I started off 0-6. And I won 7 in a row. I finished up 7-6, and I lost the final playoff spot in a 3-way tie by 12 points. And I blame it on that old-ass Frank Gore, who I put in there because I had no Josh Jacobs, right? I had to go Frank Gore, and he gets a friggin' concussion. He gets me 0.20, and Trey Burton, who I want to steal his lunch money too, because he was doing all kinds of, gets a 3, and I lose by 12. So it is what it is. It was a fun run, but I don't know, fellas. It was hard for me to really get into the standard league again this year with everything going on. This was the first year I was predominantly DFS. Did any one of you got, Dan, did you do any standard leagues this year?
You know, it's funny. No, I actually was thinking about this today, that this actually might come up. The league that I do, it's a high price league. The guy reached out and said he's just not going to do it because he's not confident the league will finish this year. And I was cool with that. So DFS was fine for me. So, because, with the uncertainty of the league in general, a lot of fantasy groups probably shut down or.
That was the consensus. I know a lot of them took a break. A lot of them did a hiatus a lot. Jason, what about you? How did you do this year?
So I did one season long. Did not go well. My heart was not into it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't do any prep before. And the whole time it was like every week looking through the waiver wire, I'm like, I'll pick up him, I guess. I don't really care too much. But, yeah, I did one, and I only finished with 3 wins. So not great. DFS is the way to go for me.
Yeah, see, now, John, on the other end, John, I know. I know you're shaking. John was in a ton of standard leagues, wasn't he?
Look, every league I'm in, I'm still in. All right.
Look at that. There's the man right there. I love it.
But in all honesty, it was a very enjoyable season for me because this whole COVID and everything put so many wrinkles into it that really added to the strategy around the season. I enjoy fantasy baseball more because there's so much more strategy involved. Fantasy football, literally, one team studs go up against another team studs, and whatever the NFL matchups are, you know what I mean? And it's flip a coin. I mean, for most times, if you play in a competitive league, that's usually the way that it is. So this just added additional complexity to it and trying to figure out. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat with I had 2 Steelers. Do I start them when they're playing their third rescheduled game on Tuesday? Do I have to empty out a bench spot in case I got to pick somebody up Monday night if the game gets pushed off? You know what I mean? Cutting the bet. There was a lot of complexity in it, but I got playoffs in 3 or 4, and then my 4th league, I'm 3rd in points, but wasn't top 6 in the standing.
So hey John, check your mic when you get a chance. I think you're coming through 2 different spots. So check your. It sounds like you're echoing. Maybe you're coming through the headphone mic and the mic. I'm not sure. Just check that when you get a chance. It sounds a little weird. Trevor checking in says I lost last night thanks to Amari Cooper's late touchdown. Garbage. That's the worst. For a garbage touchdown. And then Trevor, yes, Trevor, I'm in, brother. I'm in. I will definitely do that. Kicking people out, I like that. Since we have one guy that's tanking, that sucks. I hate that. But let me ask you guys something. Let's get right into it because we're gonna do some fun things tonight. We're gonna let Dan talk a little bit. New idea he brought to the forefront, which I think is going to be fun and very interesting. Why John checks his audio issues. But at the Russell Wilson. I got to ask you guys because, we were talking about for the first 6 or 7 weeks. I mean, this is with the MVP candidate, right? I mean, nobody was beating out Russell Wilson. And fantasy purposes, he was a stone cold lock 25 to 35 every single week. And that offense is sputtering big time out there. How much trust, Jason, going forward? I mean, we're talking, this is the NFL fantasy playoffs. I say fantasy football playoffs, not the NFL playoffs, but I mean, you're week 14, 15, and 16. This is huge. How much trust do you put in Russell Wilson? Can you just kind of like throw that last few weeks to the side, say he's still my guy, or do you have some serious doubts?
You know what? I have some serious doubts, and it sucks because I love Russell Wilson. And like you said, he was so good at the beginning of the year, 31.6 points a game for the first 8 weeks. I mean, that's MVP material. 16 points a game for the last 4. So that's garbage almost. I mean, even your boy Baker Mayfield's doing better than that. So
yeah, I love it.
So I don't know. I feel like if you drafted him in your season long, you have to play him because I don't know. I feel like you win and lose with your studs. So I would play him in season long. But DFS, he's 7,900 this week. I want nothing to do with that in DFS.
That's a big number. That is a big number. I mean, if we're talking specifically, DFS, it's really, really hard for me to trust Russell Wilson. I agree. I haven't seen it from him the last few weeks. I mean, that whole Seattle offense is reeling. Dan, how much confidence you have in Russell Wilson going forward?
Well, not as much. You're right. He was a surefire MVP candidate with probably Mahomes and Rodgers, and now he's not even part of the conversation. Do you equate it to the NFL has a lot of smart coordinators and they picked up on something? Chris Carson being out and the running game being non-existent, did that finally catch up to him? Is he too reliant on DK Metcalf? And if you're like, okay, we'll give him some cake, but if we shut everyone else down, maybe we'll be okay. That's the kind of stuff that people are probably deciding to do when they play against them. But as Jason said, if you have like him and David Carr on your roster, I mean, you got to ride your stud. David Carr had some nice production against a crappy Jets team, and that's who Russell plays this weekend. So maybe he bounces back, but at that price, I haven't even entertained him in any one of my dozens of lineups so far.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect response for both of you guys because, it's so different when you talk about standard versus DFS because DFS, you could just go by the numbers. It's like, nah, I don't want to start him. I can start somebody else because everybody's available, right? But when you say, Dan, I mean, you should be shot if you start Derek Carr or Russell Wilson for your first round of the playoffs. I'm sorry. Even if it works out, there's just the roll of the dice is just ridiculous. You just can't do something like that. John, I know you're probably in the same boat, or do you think Russell Wilson's fine?
I mean, he hasn't been performing. I don't know. How's my mic sound? Is it okay?
You sound great now.
All right, good. I don't know.
Earlier, you sound like Porky Pig or something, dude. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
Now he sounds like Demi Moore.
Yeah. G.I. Jane.
I mean, he hasn't performed for the past 4 weeks, plain and simple. And the Eagles defense, Arizona's defense aren't really that intimidating. Giants are a little better. The Rams are a tough one. They got the Jets this week. And we talked a lot about game flow last week. the Jets are, I mean, they're a bad team, plain and simple. But I always get scared of the blowout if there's a superior team to impact, the passing game. Is he too reliant on DK Metcalf? I mean, I don't know. I feel like Russell Wilson has gone through slumps. Seattle still wants to run the ball hot with Hyde and Carson. So, I mean, no, you ride him, but I mean, no, I'm not a big fan and not for that price tag.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is that happened this week. One of the biggest injuries will segue right into Antonio Gibson. I mean, that, I talked about Frank Gore being concussed and losing me a week, but Antonio Gibson lost a lot of people a week because, number one, it's the first couple plays of the game, and when you look at that injury, a turf toe injury, it just lingers on for a long time, whether you play or you don't. I mean, Dan, you know all about PE, you know about ligaments, and you know damn well that even if Antonio Gibson was to come back in a couple weeks, he's not going to be the same back. And it's a shame because this was a guy that, I honestly thought could kind of ride somebody into the playoffs because he was playing that well. So I asked two-part question. I'll stay on you, Dan. Number one, are you surprised that J.D. McKissic kind of out-snapped Peyton Barber? And do you expect that to continue, or do you think that was just kind of the 1 week, what do we do? We lost Antonio Gibson. We weren't really ready for Peyton Barber to take over. Do you see Peyton Barber being a lead back, out-snapping J.D. McKissic going forward?
That's a fair and good question. I think the game script had a lot to do with that. I mean, McKissic's a terrific dump-off back. He's a check down running back. I don't want to put him in Eckler's class, but that's how he's used. And game script will determine if they're able to pound the rock and run down the team's throat, then yeah, Barber's probably going to get more of the reps. I still think Barber had a 70% running ratio over
he did
McKissic, but McKissic had so many touches in the passing game. That's where gives you value. But I don't want to, leak anything, but McKissic's one of my, plays that I'm interested in this week.
He's not a bad play. Listen, he's not. Yeah. I mean, he catches it. He reminds me, look at just, I guess the way he's built reminds me of Kevin Folk, played in New England for so many years. Who was just a prototypical receiving running back, right?
Yeah.
That, out in the flat. Not a big
White.
screen, right? Exactly. Not a big screenplay game because he didn't have that kind of lightning speed, but he was just a power guy, and I think that's his role, and he's found that. And we talked about on the Heat ratio last night, just how well Ron Rivera has turned that team around. So Jason, I'm intrigued by Peyton Barber. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm intrigued with him going forward. I think. For what I read about Peyton Barber, they've wanted him to take over that bruising back role, the third down role anyway. He did play well in Tampa Bay at certain points, at a certain matchup. Jason, would you feel comfortable spending any money on Peyton Barber?
You know what? I've kind of been debating that a lot today. I think Dan had a lot of good points. He did get a majority of the carries, which is good. The problem is only 23 yards, and I know it's against Pittsburgh, it's kind of hard to tell against Pittsburgh. But 14 carries for 23 yards is not the best production. I personally would lean towards McKissic as well. 10 catches on 10 targets last week. That's huge. I mean, that's obviously not going to happen every single week, but he gets the targets, and I think his upside's a lot better than Barber's.
And they play San Fran as well this week, who's down against the run.
Tough defense. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. And their defense is really changing up a little bit. They're starting to play well. John, what do you think, buddy? You're smiling over there. Either you love you some Peyton Barber or you can't stand you some Peyton Barber. What
Peyton Barber is garbage. I'm sorry. I don't even care what the dude's price tag is. He's out. You're out, dude. He's not even averaging 2.7 yards a carry. You could give him 15 carries. He's getting 30 yards. You know what I mean? 45 yards. I'm not going. McKissic is very intriguing because of the pass catching ability. He's James White. All right. Yeah. Is what he is. James White of yesteryear. So, I mean, I'll give him McKissic. I'll give him a ride if I have to, but I've never been a guy that trusts the quarterbacks that only catch the ball. If you're not getting at least 8 to 10 carries a game, you're too dependent on a bad game script or something going on and those catches not being there for whatever reason. So, but I would go with McKissic. I don't know what his price tag is this week, but yeah, I expect him to catch 6+ balls.
4,700, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, 6+ balls is right within it.
So, staying on the running back position, because you make a good point. I kind of agree. I mean, I just love the way you just put it, because Peyton Barber, all of a sudden we're talking about him being like the second coming of, right? All of a sudden, you make a great point. It was, I'm trying to think, who was it? I'm trying to think of the receiver this week that had like 10 catches for like 38 yards or something. It was like some ridiculous number. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? I actually, I think I had him. I think it was Juju.
Juju was, he had something.
Yeah, of course he was on my team this week.
He didn't have 10 catches, but he had like 7 or 8 for like 32 yards.
That's it. Yeah, it was something ridiculous. It was completely asinine. But looking at Arizona, it wasn't maybe 4 weeks ago that we were kind of all on the Chase Edmonds hype train. When Kenyon Drake looked like he wasn't really going to be the second half running back that Arizona had last year when they traded from New England and from Miami. I mean, he's traveled everywhere. He tore some ligaments a little bit. The injury wasn't supposed to be as severe, and it wasn't. He came back a little early from that. And it seems like every time he came back, ever since he's come back, he's kind of taken the boatload of that offense, which I was not expecting. And he's looked very good. He's looked fluid. He's looked very quick. He's shifty. He looks like he's got his speed back, his power. And it looks like Chase Edmonds is kind of like the forgotten man. I mean, Jason, are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, no, I definitely am. Drake is kind of turning into what we thought he would be at the beginning of the year, right? Except for the one problem with Drake is he's not catching as many passes. 4 targets, I think, in each of the last 3 weeks, something along those lines. Still not getting involved in the passing game, which I would like to see. That was what his upside was. His upside was so high last year because of that. But 17 points a game over the last 4 and at least 10 carries in every game this year. So he's turning into their stud. He's getting like 70% of the workload. And so I like him going forward. And what's funny about DraftKings is that his price really isn't reflecting it yet. He's still in the 5s. So I think he's like 5,900 this week. So I like him going forward. I think he can give you some value, especially if he gets in the end zone a time or two.
Yeah, you got. I don't know, Dan. Seinfeld, do you love the Drake or do you hate the Drake? Which one?
No, if he's in a lineup, they ride him. It's plain and simple. And I was kind of shocked too. I thought they would at least lighten his workload and wean him back in. But you're right. He was the workhorse the second he got back in. And
he didn't miss a beat.
And it wasn't like Edmonds was a disappointment. He was a productive player while he was out. So it's kind of odd, and we'll see how it goes forward.
I was very, very shocked. John, were you as shocked as I was?
What, for him just coming back and taking back over?
Yeah, because we heard a lot about Edmonds, man. People were loving with Edmonds.
Well, I don't think he really lit the world on fire like everybody thought he was going to. You know what I mean? He was, looking back, he was probably the biggest waiver wire pickup of the year that didn't pan out. You know what I mean? When you're looking at, and nobody liked the Drake. Everybody was down on the Drake. All right. So it was, Edmonds was the guy, but he didn't blow anyone away. So Drake came back. His value, 4 touchdowns in 3 weeks. I mean, that says it all. So if you think he's going to score a touchdown, then, he has a decent floor, but his carries vary, but the touchdowns, they mean something. So, I mean, he's okay. I mean, season long, I wouldn't, maybe a running back too. I'd be happier if he was in my flex, but I'll take him as an RB2 if I had to.
Well, I'll tell you what, one guy that I have to talk about, and Jason mentioned him earlier, and this will be the end of our kind of review of week 13, what it was. Baker Mayfield. And again, like, this is a guy to me who, listen, I am not going to say that he is a consistent fantasy season-long starter, but I'll tell you what, if you pick the right spots and the right matchups, This kid, he's still 2 weeks in a row, 53 and 5,400 respectively on DFS, on DraftKings scoring system. I mean, he set the world on fire last week. I'm shocked. I am. I did not expect him to be that good. The week before where he was 19 to 29, 65%, 250, 260, 2 touchdowns. That's kind of where I predicted him to be this week. But to go balls out, 76% completion percentage, 340 and 4 touchdowns, and it probably would have been more if they didn't score it on the first quarter or the first half, I should say. So, I mean, Baker Mayfield, I think, gets a really bad rep because if you remember, this is going to segue right into Kirk Cousins. This is exactly what Kevin Stefanski did with Kirk Cousins last year. There was times where Kirk Cousins was an elite fantasy quarterback, and then there was times he was a dud because game plan, like John and Dan and Jason and I always say, it dictates that what the production level is going to be. All about game script, all about game scheme, right? So that's exactly what Stefanski does. So I think I didn't look at his matchups coming up. I haven't looked at who he plays the next 3 games. Go ahead, John. Who's he got?
Baltimore at Giants. They got a cakewalk with the Jets and then Pittsburgh.
So your Super Bowl season in Week 16, unless you're an idiotic league and goes to Week 17. Okay, I will say that. Week 16, he's going up against the Jets. That could be a Super Bowl win. That could be a Super Bowl win, Baker Mayfield, right there.
If you got the cojones to pull the trigger.
What if Russell Wilson is the other quarterback?
Exactly. If it's Ross, I don't know, man. That's a good question. If you have Ross,
who's he playing that week?
In Week 16.
I'll have it in 2 seconds.
Tell me who Ross is playing because I'll tell you.
Week what? 16?
16.
Week 16.
Week 16. He got the Rams.
Yeah, I'm going Baker. I'm going Baker. Dan, who would you go? Baker or Ross?
Well, I think John mentioned this earlier, and it kind of was the script that happened last week. John mentioned that if you get a blowout game early, everything gets shut down, and if they jump all over a Jet, and what the hell are the Jets going to be playing for? So if they get a monster lead early, it's Chubb and Hunt. So it's a tough call.
They want to do that without a lead.
Now I go Russell Wilson. I go Russell Wilson. What am I even talking about? I'm going Russell Wilson. I'm going Russell Wilson.
So you're going stud no matter what.
Yeah, and it's still not a horrible matchup. I mean, the Rams have some shootouts.
No, they do. They definitely do. What about you, Jay?
You know what? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I would go Baker in that situation. And you
there he is. There's my boy.
Kind of touched on it too. Is Stefanski has done an amazing job with him. He's almost to the point right now where he's not going to let him fail. He knows what the game's going to be, what the game script's going to be, and he puts him in position to succeed. Basically, I mean, even last game he tore it up, but he only threw the ball 33 times. It's like, how often are you going to see a guy put up that many points in only 33 attempts? Usually, it's like 45, 50 when those guys put up 30 some odd points. So yeah, Stefanski's done a great job, and I think he's definitely the coach of the year, and he's done a really good job with Baker. And what's funny too about that offense is they honestly are so much better without Beckham. And
oh my God,
Beckham's good, but I almost feel like it frees up Baker. He doesn't feel like he needs to force it to Beckham at all, and he just kind of spreads it around and does his thing, and kind of seems like he's having fun again, which is key for him.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a funny thing. I mean, we talked about that. It's kind of odd, when you look at it on the outskirts, that they look better without OBJ. But, they did essentially the opposite of what the Philadelphia Eagles did from an NFL standpoint. They took Baker Mayfield and said, we are not going to let this kid fail without trying to make him better. And they rebuilt their offensive line. They put a lot of investment in the offense from the running back position. I mean, they go out. I still don't agree with the whole Kareem Hunt thing because, a wife beater is a wife beater. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, he is a productive running back. And then, you have a 3 tight end set basically in Cleveland with Njoku, with Harrison Bryant, and Austin Hooper. I mean, how many teams could do that? And Jarvis Landry is no slouch. No. People forget about that, right? And then you got Peoples-Jones, you got Rashard Higgins. I mean, you have some very, very good young talent in Cleveland, and I'll tell you, man, it's been nice to see, hasn't it?
No, it's good. It's good. There's a lot of teams, Miami, Cleveland. It's good that things are turning around. It's good for football, and it's good to see that Buffalo is now the new king of that division. And I mean, next year, are we predicting New England in last place in that division? No, well, forgot about the Jets, but Cleveland's in a different division, but there's a lot of scripts that have flipped this year.
Yes.
But, I mean,
you're right. You're 100%.
I mean,
right.
it's always been Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and that's it. No end of conversation. So at least you have a new team on the horizon.
Well, it's like you said, Miami. I mean, look at Buffalo.
Yeah.
I honestly, picked in the beginning of the year. I said Buffalo AFC Championship game, and I'm sticking to it.
Another great coach.
Right, another great coach, and I also got laughed at by Mr. Pittsburgh John Coker and Miss Michelle Magic of ballblast.com, who told me that my prediction Stephon Diggs being a top 7 wide receiver, I was asinine for. And again, it was another jigsaw ridiculous take that's going to come through fruition, right? I mean, he has been that damn good. Right? I mean, it is what it is, but listen, I'm not one to gloat. Just saying. I got that one right, John.
I'm not one to gloat.
One right.
Yes, you did.
I got some questions coming to Jenna. Our main girl, Jenna, checking in. Pick one: Singletary or Booker or Bernard. I need one, or I do have Elliott. So here's one of those interesting dilemmas, right? Zeke Elliott. What does he have left? I mean, with that team is completely lost. You could just, you could compare him to Miles Sanders, right? Because their 2 running backs are very talented that just, the teams just are going nowhere, right? Bernard, Booker, or Singletary. I'm going to kick and punt. If I had to pick between those guys, I think I would go Singletary, to be honest with you. I do. Dan, what do you think?
No, I was thinking Singletary too. I mean, I had Booker on a lot of DFS teams last week, and he disappointed. Bernard, I'm not a fan. Elliott's given up, and I've always been a proponent of late in the year and when you draft, and this is more standard fantasy football, avoid players from bad teams. And which player in that list is on a good team?
Yeah, Devin Singletary.
So yep. That's the philosophy I have. So I'd go Singletary.
I like it. Jason, what do you think?
This is actually a slam dunk for me, believe it or not. I'm going Zeke, 100%.
Okay.
I'm going to play a lot of Zeke actually in DFS this week too. I just think he's still getting the workload. Obviously, that team's terrible. They're playing Cincinnati this week, who is also terrible and doesn't have much to play for. So I like Zeke, especially if he gets over 20 touches. I think that's a slam dunk. If he gets in the end zone, it's a bonus. Like I said, like him in DFS, and I like him in season long too.
I thought that was in addition to Zeke. I didn't realize he was in the mix.
Yeah, it says, or I do have Elliott.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's saying, I'm kind of falling out of favor with Elliott. So if I did, do I start one of these 3 guys? So John, what are you thinking? Are you going Zeke?
Zeke 1, Booker 2.
Wow. You're going Booker too, huh? You seen enough out of Booker this week?
Singletary 3 because I think Mixon may be back.
I think Mixon's out again. I think they said today he's out again.
Dude, Joe Mixon's done. Yeah. He's not playing this year.
Yeah, well, to be determined. I don't know.
That's AJ Green written all over it, bro.
Could be. Could be. So. I look. Singletary's going up against Pittsburgh. Call me biased, but with that and the Zach Moss factor. But I mean, I will say Pittsburgh has been run on, so it's not like I'm naive and they can't be run on. But I wouldn't want to trust that going up against that defense with other options. So I'll go Booker too.
Booker had a dream matchup this past week.
And did nothing with it.
Did nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. I picked him up and started him.
Everybody
fool me once. Shame on you.
I would twice. Actually, here's the thing. Here's the odd thing. The only reason why I picked up Frank Gore is because somebody else took Booker because I have Josh Jacobs. I would have started Booker. I would have won. But again, unfortunately, I get Frank Gore and he gets concussion. So, Jenna says, John, what about my shit Niners? Michael Thomas tearing it up this week. Michael Thomas has been coming back. Carson went to the Niners. Bucket. Let me tell you, man. I'll tell you what. I'm very comfortable with my sexuality by saying this. Jimmy G's a much better looking quarterback than Carson Wentz. So you're going to lose out between those two, in my opinion. And let's not even talk about with the other added element for Jimmy G, who has a select women that he likes to date. But the Evil Empire checking in. Do I go with Robert Woods tomorrow night or wait to see Julio's status on Sunday? That's a great question because I'm essentially thinking, listen, right now this is a playoff question. You're in the playoffs right now, right? And I hate those Thursday night games. Never been a fan of the Thursday night game. The short week, especially this year, so tough. But then it all, to me, and obviously I'll go to you guys in a second. I just think that you have to really look at your overall roster, because if you're going to wait on Julio, you really need to make sure you have a backup plan if Julio doesn't start, right? And that backup plan better be better than Robert Woods, right? That's what you have to look at. Who's your number? Who's this third guy? If you're telling me it's, I know he's on the same team, just throwing a name out there. If it's Josh Reynolds, well, then you're starting Robert Woods, in my opinion, right? So I don't know. What do you think, Jason? How do you go with this question?
My question is, though, how good are your receivers if you're deciding between Robert Woods and Julio Jones, right? I feel like they both should be in your lineup.
Yeah,
so one of the other
receivers. That's a good question too.
Who else is on the roster? That'll help.
A 4-team league. She's got Keenan Allen.
Yeah, we gotta find out who else. Give us a little more insight before we give you the prognosis here, because.
But don't you think Julio is just always going to be given that cue for the rest of the year?
He probably is. I mean,
after the week he just had.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, you are in a pickle with the Thursday night game, and
it's for me the Julio factor. Look, if he finished the game unscathed and he's questionable Wednesday, like I don't care if he came out of the game 100%, he's still not going to practice Wednesday.
Exactly. He's going to be cued the whole year.
Right. So look, he finished the game, which is truthfully the only thing that I look at for the most part. If he finished last game, he went into the game with the injury, finished last game, I think he'll be good to go.
Yeah, I actually.
Julio, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's funny about Julio last week? He missed that ridiculous touchdown catch that he almost caught at the end of the game. If he catches that, that's a whole different story. I think his DraftKings price would be a lot higher this week too. I love Julio. If he plays, I'm playing Julio every week.
That's what I was going to say. I like the matchup this week. I like Matt Ryan. I like Julio. I like the Atlanta Falcons this week. So Evil Empire second and saying Corey Davis would be the next guy.
He's good too.
He's hot.
Yeah, I mean, he's hot. I mean, this is the worst part of these Thursday night decisions is you sit there, right, and it's like, okay, it's one of two reactions. We all know it. It's Thursday night. If Robert Woods does nothing, you're like, whoo, thank God I waited. If Robert Woods blows it up, you're sweating all the way till Sunday, hoping that guy plays and he tears it up too. It's like I kind of wouldn't even want to be stressed out about it.
Well, and I swear the funny thing is, it's never middle of the road.
No.
Like you never just get what's expected.
No. Yeah, it's like 30 or 3.
Yes, yes.
I love it. Rick checking in says he would take Zeke, and Rick also says Thursday games benefit the offense. Although I would gamble and say Julio plays. Yeah, Rick, I think we're all on the same page there. So, Mr. Evil Empire 925 on Periscope, I would say as a consensus that. Wait to see Julio's status. I think you have to look and wait for Julio. Corey Davis isn't a bad backup plan. I can tell you that right now. 100%. Well, Josh checking in my season long Godwin or Corey Davis. What's up, Josh? Former he was the game guy at All About the Birds, right, Jason?
He's back. He's back this week.
Nice. What's up, Josh? Yeah. Thanks for checking in, buddy. In my season long, Godwin or Corey Davis if Godwin plays. Ooh, I don't know, but John, I'm punting right to you, brother. You can start this one off. You're the numbers guy.
I'm gonna go Godwin. I don't know. Corey Davis is hit or miss. I mean, even 2 of the last 4 games. I mean, he had 5 catches or less. I think he only had 3 catches that one game. Granted, he caught a big one, but I'd still look for more volume where Godwin's, the games he's played, he's had at least 6 targets, 6, 7, and 8 catches the past 3 games. So I'd go Godwin.
Yeah, and they're playing Minnesota, who's trash. Minnesota's trash. So that's a really good matchup for Godwin. Dan, what do you think?
No, I go Godwin because Corey Davis, hit or miss.
This is almost one of those, like I said before, like if your answer is one thing now, but if you're down 19 points, who you take? I might go Corey Davis. You know?
That's a good point.
No, that's true. That's true. It definitely all depends on who you have and what the matchup dictates.
Well, we had a whole segment last week about what happened to Corey Godwin in that offense.
Yeah, we did.
And now we're singing his praises. So it's
yeah, we're kind of hypocrites, ain't we?
Yeah.
We're typical. That's okay. Evil Edmonds, thanks for this. So, guys, absolutely. Janice says, Jason, what's your take on the Niners quarterback situation next year? Do you think they keep Jimmy G? That's an interesting one.
That is a good question. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually. I've been thinking about kind of like the QB situation for next year and who might need Matt Stafford. For my Detroit Lions, I want them to trade him next year. He would look pretty damn good in a Niners uniform, I'll be honest with you. I don't know about Jimmy G. I feel like that team is ready to win. Obviously, you're going to need a quarterback that can win, and I'm not sure Jimmy G is the guy, truthfully. I think he kind of – especially the last game in the Super Bowl, he kind of crapped the bed a little bit. He didn't really do too much, and even the running game carried them all throughout the playoffs last year. So I'm not loving Jimmy G, and I think that you got to upgrade if you're them. And I wouldn't be shocked if Stafford went there. I think Detroit's going to shop him this year, and I think that would be a huge upgrade if they could do that.
Huge. If Matt Stafford's 32 years old, he's got a good 3 to 4 years left, easy. And if he could go to a guy like Kyle Shanahan, who's going to limit his throws anyway, because it is going to be a full base running attack, that's only going to prolong, Matt Stafford's career. And, it's actually going to elevate his game even more. And I actually think Stafford's been really good this year. Considering the fact that there's been no Kenny Galladay for 5 to 6 games, right? Listen, Marvin Hall, who's that? They let him go, right? Marvin Jones, okay. Danny Amendola, yeah, whatever. He's been around the way more than LL Cool J's around the way girl, right? So at the end of the day, I just think that would be a perfect fit. Dan, what do you think?
No, I was having a conversation with Jason the other day. I love Matt Stafford. He's like the modern day Archie Manning.
Ooh,
just a guy that's never been on a good team, but it's a damn good quarterback. A damn good quarterback, just never been on a good team. And what, Jason, you can help me with this. There was a stat for years. They didn't have a back with 100 yards in a game or 1,000 yards in a season for how long? You can't win. You can't win like that. And Tony, you nailed it. If he goes to a team with a running game, he'll be like, "What is this?" And then, no, I love him. I love him going to possibly New England or Indy as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
And Jimmy G real fast too. Jimmy G was Carson Wentz before Carson Wentz. Jimmy G started off as a Niner. He couldn't lose games. He was like a magician. And then, like Jason said, that second half of the season last year through the playoffs, he sucked.
Be careful. Jen is coming for you now with that comment.
He's a good-looking man, but he has not played. He has not played the quarterback position well in a long time.
Don't be burying Jenna's man. I'm telling you.
I have no faith in that guy.
Be careful. John, you think can you imagine Matt Stafford in a Niners uniform?
Yeah, I guess. I feel like Detroit's been trying to run him out of town for 5 years, but he's such a great quarterback.
Which is stupid.
I don't know, but
same thing.
Like in reality, I feel like every year it's Matt Stafford, it would probably be a good fit. I'm not a Jimmy G guy. I haven't been ever since he went to the 49ers from day one. Him and McKinnon. We battled.
It's funny, Sam. Look at the next comment. Jigsaw wants McKinnon on the Eagles, right, John? Can you tell Jenna follows us? She knows my every move, man. I was a big Jared McKinnon guy. She knows that.
No, I think, Stafford would be a good fit there. I think he would.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what's funny about Detroit, too? There's 2 things that all Detroit fans always hate: the quarterback and the goalie in hockey. And it's ridiculous. So we've been trying to run. we've been trying to run Stafford out of town since his third year, and it's just like, people realize that he's the best quarterback we've ever had by far.
I was going to say, let's think about that. I mean, Rodney Pete, Scott Mitchell. I mean, let's think about so many. Andre Ware. There you go.
They had all three at the same time. They had Kramer, Ware, and Pete at the same time.
Eric Hipple.
Oh, did they run a little Jay Schrader out there for one or two years?
I remember him.
Yeah,
oh my God,
Joey Harrington.
That was
Frank Reich at one point for a year.
Oh
yeah,
man, it was. Oh, Frank Reich! Wow. Hey, I'll tell you, Detroit, man. I'm sorry, Jason. Listen. I don't get it. I don't know why they want to try to run Stafford out of town. They just never got Stafford any help. That's what I never understood. Like, I just feel like
Matt Millen ruined them.
Obviously had Megatron, but they, for some reason, the offensive line in Detroit was always so weak, and they never addressed it. I didn't understand it. They never ever addressed it.
You know what's crazy too is that, if you were going to move on from Stafford, last year was the year with Herbert and Tua in the draft, and you wouldn't have even had to trade up. You had the third pick. You took Okuda. If you wanted a quarterback, last year was the year. Now to do it's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense at this point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point. 100%. Well, we're in 40-minute mark, and this is when we kind of like to look at some locks and some values. We're going to do something new after this. I'm going to let Dan talk about that in a little bit, where we pick some lineups and stuff. I'll go over that with everybody. It'll be a little fun. But right now, we're going to look at some DFS. This is, again, strictly through DraftKings, and you guys know I like the low budget plays. I always do. I try to snag those $2,000-$3,000 guys, especially at the tight end position, a la Dan Arnold. But at the end of the day, these, again, we're not telling you, or at least I'm not telling you to start these guys. What I'm saying is formulate your lineup around your studs, right? Your big money guys, and then these are guys maybe you want to look at, right? So we're starting right off with the quarterback position, and the quarterback position I thought was interesting this week because I don't think there was a ton of value in it. I think the market was set pretty well on certain plays, based on the matchup. But I'm going to go with the guy out of Denver and Drew Lock. And I understand that listen, on normal situations, you're like, I'm not starting Drew Lock. I get it, right? I understand that, but I want you to just look inside the matchup a little bit. And I want you to look at who Drew Lock has to throw the ball to. And I think you're underestimating the amount of talent that he has. And again, every single week, I'm talking about a guy who averages between 14 and 15 points. Now, you're talking about a $5,100 salary. He's consistently been between 52 and 51, give or take 100 here or there. But he's also been double-digit points. And I know he's not tearing the world up, 11, 12, and 13. But before that, when he played Atlanta, he had 33. I'm just saying that I think this week against Carolina, who doesn't really have the greatest defense in the world, I think even though it's outdoors and it's not in Denver, I think it'll be a little warmer, obviously, in Carolina. But I think that with Tim Patrick rolling and Jerry Jeudy kind of being busted out with one catch this week, I think he'll break out a little more. They're getting Hamler involved. They have a nice running attack out there. I like Drew Lock. Jason, who is your undervalued play for the quarterback position this week?
Well, it's Drew Lock now after that speech. No, I agree with you on this. His weapons, I love his weapons. And I think that's a really great matchup. I didn't even consider it. I didn't even go down that low, but you kind of talked me into it a little bit, and I loved him. I love him, and I love Tim Patrick this week also.
Yes. Love Tim Patrick. Dan, what are you thinking, buddy?
Well, it's funny. I have in my wide receiver category, Tim Patrick, listen to this stat. Since week 3, excluding that COVID game where he had no quarterback.
Yeah.
19.6 points a game.
Solid.
He's a stud.
Yes, he is.
And he's not Jerry Jeudy or KJ Hamler. And so they have a hell of a receiving core. So that's a great pull by you, Tone. And I would stack him with Patrick.
I like it. And the funny thing is, John, Tim Patrick was Coker's find about 5 weeks ago. we were talking on the show, and John's like, watch out for that Tim Pat. Really like, because I was hyping up Jerry Jeudy. He was like, I really like that Tim Patrick. And I'll tell you what, ever since John mentioned him, I've been playing him week in and week out. I like me some Tim Patrick. He's a nice, tall receiver. He always seems to get open, controls his body very well. What's that?
I think they said he had no drops this year.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Is great hands, and when you have good hands and you can run good routes. I mean, listen that we didn't even mention Noah Fant. I mean, if Drew Lock can develop,
okay,
right? What's that?
I was going to shortly, but okay.
No, I'm just saying, not as a value. I'm just saying as a whole in that offense.
He's a
right?
good.
I mean, they really, really have a good formula for success out there. Really like what Elway did so far. I mean, listen, as long as Drew Lock could be serviceable, which I think that's why they brought in Melvin Gordon. A lot of people were like, why would they bring in Melvin Gordon? Well, it's because they wanted him to be serviceable, right? They wanted him to have a good, solid foundation behind him. And that's what they did. John, quarterback, undervalued quarterback for DraftKings this week. Who you got?
I got high, medium, low. I can't give you just one. Undervalued. Look, I think Matt Ryan at 5,700 is a very good value. If you want to get down and dirty, I mean, dude, Andy Dalton at 5,500 against Cincinnati, and you pair him up with a Michael Gallup at 3,800. Do you know the studs that you could pay up for?
Yes.
And even CeeDee Lamb, too. CeeDee Lamb's 4,800, too. You could even double stack that.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of good stacks this week.
The other one, I mean, once again, could you pull the trigger on a Jalen Hurts at 5,100 with a Rager at 4,400?
Ooh, no way. Not against the Saints.
No.
I mean,
I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it, but I could see a pathway where Hurts rushes for 80 yards or something, and if Rager catches a touchdown or is his go-to guy, I'm not banking on it. But if that pairing would hit, I mean, that's big value there.
What I will say to that, John, is last week people don't realize Jalen Hurts 14 fantasy points in a quarter of football. So, I mean, listen, it is what it is. Whether it was garbage time, whether it was soft coverage, I don't even want to get into that conversation, but the kid has wheels and he can get away. He is more mobile than Carson Wentz. So, I mean, I could definitely listen. I think the Saints are going to obliterate the Philadelphia Eagles. So, maybe we have some garbage time where the Saints are up 31-10, and they're, and all of a sudden Jalen Hurts starts throwing the ball and he's running a little bit, and Rager gets a catch and he gets a touchdown. So yeah, that could benefit you. Throw a couple bucks on it and maybe it works. But I see where you're going, John. 100%. I just this week I would not be able to do it. Would not be able to do it.
I'm not going to do it. But I mean, it was something that crossed. But I'm just saying, you're looking through, and I'm like, oh man, that's mighty cheap.
Yeah, that's cool. Bobby checking in saying we don't have a deadline, so should I trade away anyone or keep what I've got? All right, Bobby, we don't know who you have. Says I was on the bench.
Trade him.
Maybe it didn't come through. Listen, YouTube's tough. YouTube takes a while for these comments to come in. So, Bobby, if you can give us who you have. We're not sure who you have, and we'd be happy to answer the question. And if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button before you leave as well. John, you got somebody else?
What, a quarterback?
Yeah.
No.
Did you say you had an extra?
Yeah,
medium,
Matt
large
Ryan was my high. Andy Dalton was like my medium, and Hurts was my low.
All right. Well, I'll stick with you, John. Let's talk some running backs, because I got a special running back that I'm going to throw at you. All right. I got the infamous Ty Johnson for the New York Jets.
Ooh, former Detroit Lion.
At 4,700.
Yep.
22 carries last week. It's a really low number. And Seattle does not have a good defense. Say what you want, they do not have a good run defense. So, listen. Frank Gore's not playing this week, and you know what? As much as Josh Adams is a change of pace guy now. This is Ty Johnson's show. He showed what he could do, right? 22 carries. I think he had, I don't have in front of 108 yards, maybe 104 yards. I think he had. So, and he showed some quickness. He showed some elusiveness, and he showed some power. So, Dan, what do you think? You like that pick?
No, he's in my list of valued running backs.
Nice.
I have him in my in what we're going to discuss later. He's in that.
Nice.
I like McKissic too, 4,900.
Another good number.
A running back that I've hated for years. I will always hate, but yet I'm going to play him this week is Melvin Gordon at 5,200 against 28th ranked defense.
Yep.
Never liked Melvin Gordon. And my steady Freddies that aren't outrageously priced. I know John likes to sometimes, if someone's priced at 9,000 and someone's priced at 7 something, why not go with that? And I kind of agree with that. So Jones, Robinson, and Kamara are all in the 7,000 range. And so I like those guys as my higher end guys that aren't outrageously priced.
Jason, what are you thinking, buddy?
So I have some value plays, but I'm not going to go down to the 4s. I think I'm going to stick mainly in the 5s. I just don't feel comfortable at running back going down. I'd rather take my shots mainly on receivers and tight ends. I don't really like to take it on running back as much. But Jonathan Taylor at 5,800, Gallman at 57, and Gaskin at 56. I think all three of those have huge value this week, especially if you want to pair them with a higher end guy. And you know what's funny? I think one of the most value plays on the entire slate is Christian McCaffrey at 9,200. The guy is averaging over 30 fantasy points a game when he plays. He's only played 3 games, obviously. But for him to be 9,200, that's a discount on him. And it sounds stupid to say it's at value at 9,200, but I'm going to be playing him a ton this week if he plays.
Oh, I don't disagree. He is going to ball out. He's waiting to unleash the beast. Yeah. He's just waiting, man. That's a big number. It is a big number. But again, this is why we give you these value plays. So if you want to spend $9,200 on Christian McCaffrey, you get a guy like Ty Johnson at 4,700, or you get guys like a Tim Patrick that we mentioned, at 4,200. So a lot of different guys. John, what do you think, buddy?
That McCaffrey's a big nugget to swallow.
Oh man,
I couldn't do it. I mean, look, I do think he's going to blow up, but I'm not going to bank on it coming right off of that injury with the team not doing that well. I have him going into my playoff league. I want him to do it. I think he'll do it, but for daily, I can't pay up that much. Even if he's at 80% of what we think he could be, you're not getting value. Sorry. That's just I love the guy, but it's like, dude, you can't come back. You played 3 games. You're just coming back off of a 3-4 week layoff. How are you going to come in at over 9,000?
Yeah, but
he did last time too, though. He did 9.
Yes,
37 points.
I know. I can't bank on it. I'm sorry. I don't care if it was 20 years ago or 20 years from now. I just can't justify it in my inner being to pay up for a guy coming off a layoff at that price.
It's a big number. It is a big number. It is. But if you formulate it right and he gets you that 35, 40 points and you can bang out a Tim Patrick to get you 20, I'll tell you, man, you're good. I mean, that is the secret formula of DFS. And you're getting right to the wide receiver position. I'm going to tell you something right now. This is my stone cold DFS undervalued lock of the week. I'm telling you right now, I'm playing them everywhere. It's Traquan Smith at $3,300 against the Philadelphia Eagles, who can't guard me. I listen, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel, I get it. Traquan Smith is going to run all over that secondary with no over-the-top help, with no say. Are you Epps? Marcus Epps. I'm worried about Marcus Epps. Like Traquan Smith is going to tear for 3,300. I'm telling you right now, this is like a bet on black. Every time bet on black, I'll say bet on Traquan Smith this week. I am all in on the Traquan Smith wagon. Jason, who you got, buddy?
John mentioned him earlier. Michael Gallup. I've been riding him every single week. He had a huge game last week, which I just like the guy a lot too. So 3,800. I think against that Cincinnati defense, Dallas is going to put up a lot of points, and I think that's really good value.
Yeah, you like Andy Dalton loves him, so Michael Gallup. That's
yeah,
what
he does.
He really does. Dan, who you got, buddy?
I have a decent list here. I can't believe Julio is at 6,600, so I'm going to do a lot of stacking with Matt Ryan. Mike Evans is 6,600. I'm going to stack with Tom Brady. I always love myself Keenan Allen, as you know, he's 77. Mike Thomas against the Eagles, 7,100. He's in my lineup. Do we believe T.Y. Hilton's bouncing back as a former stud player? He's at 5,100. And my intriguing pick of the week, Cordell Patterson, 3,600.
Wow. See, they're the kind of picks I love. I love that pick. And Cordell Patterson, I'll tell you, man, like
Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, same thing, man. It's a really, really good value play. I like it because they do everything with that guy. Everything. I really love him. John, what are you thinking, buddy? I think you already gave us Tim Patrick. You have any other gems you want to throw at us for right now?
No, not really. I like Julio's value. I mentioned Matt Ryan, so yeah, Matt Ryan and Julio is a good tandem. Jalen Reagor still intrigues me at 4,400.
You like that Jalen Reagor, man?
Look, I mean, how many passing yards is the Philadelphia offense going to have this week? Are they going to get 200 passing yards?
Maybe. I'm going to say I'm going to bang them out 170.
Even if they do, where are they going to go to?
Zach Ertz.
Dallas Goddard.
I see Goddard and Reagor. That's what I see happening. So
you could be right. You could be right. I mean, somebody's got to catch the ball, but
Greg Ward, I think, is going to have a solid game.
Well, here, let me ask you this. I'll play devil's advocate, right? Somebody's got to catch the ball, but Lattimore's got to cover somebody. Who's he going to cover? He's going to cover Reagor. So I'm going Reagor against Lattimore. No way in hell am I taking that matchup.
All right, we'll see. I'll take him.
I like it.
I have him in. I got him in. I need to save some money. And I got him in.
I love it. Well, speaking of that, we're going to get right to this next segment. We're moving along nice here tonight. I want to keep this show under an hour and a half. I think that's a really good time. And we're already 75% of the way, which is perfect. Dan, new to the show. He's going forward with us. Has always been a great addition. And he's had a ton of ideas. Why I love adding new people to the fray. When Jason came on, he had some ideas. Dan comes on, he has some ideas because me and John been doing this for the last 2-3 years. And, when it gets stale after a while. So you need some new blood, which is great. And Dan, I'm going to go right to you to explain it. What did you give me your idea for this DFS lineup thing?
Well, my initial idea, just as a fun thing to throw around and help ourselves and help our viewers out, is to all of us propose our best lineup. We probably already have 20 lineups on paper right now. Put our best lineup forward, and John, Tony, Jason, you have to play my lineup. And then I have to play John, Tony's, and Jason's lineup. And then we see how we do the following week, which lineup was the most successful. And as Jason and I talked about, and maybe we actually help each other win some money. And then I like Tony. Tony, you now can explain the idea you had to spin this a little further.
Well, I figure, it's a great idea. I love it. But I just figure, because we do put in so many different lineups, I know I'm in a ton of leagues. Yeah. I think it would be even more intriguing if we stacked up against each other. We had a couple battles. So I think what I'm proposing is I'm looking at right now as a cube. So Tony faces Dan in week 1. John faces Jason. So, and we're actually going to hear their lineups tonight. And for the audience, if you like the lineup, you like some of the names, play it. Throw a couple dollars. I'm not telling you what to do, but I will tell you this. This isn't 3 or 4 guys that come on this show and just pick some names out of a hat and just want to talk. As you see, we can, I'm not cocky, confident for every single one of us. We can formulate our own views based on any kind of statistic. And that's exactly what we do. We put a lot of effort into this. So, hey, listen, if you want to listen to us, great. If you don't, that's your opinion as well. And listen, you may show us. I'm one thing. A lot of people on Twitter ask me a question and then they'll give me a rebuttal. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? You're right. I didn't think about it like that. I mean, you heard Jason say tonight, I've said to Dan, something I've said, something Dan said. I mean, listen, that's what's great about this. So, Dan, since you have came up with this idea and I'm battling you, we're going to go first.
All right, brother.
I want to hear Dan's number one And this is all DraftKings numbers because listen, this is a Fox Sports The Gamer iHeart Radio show. This is the Heat Ratio Sports Network, but we are sponsored by Fox Sports The Gamer and iHeart Radio. So we are a advocate of the DraftKings sports system. So Dan, who is your DraftKings number one play for a lineup this week that you're going against Jigsaw?
Can I ask one question first?
Yeah,
sure. Are we doing
Jason.
Sunday slate or are we doing the full slate?
Yeah, I think Sunday is.
I was just doing Sunday.
Yeah, me too.
Sunday? Okay.
Yeah. Now,
Right,
if you and your opponent want to agree to do that, hey, that's fine. I mean, if you want to, for me, I'm just doing Sunday. But if you and John want to do the Monday game, go right ahead. This does not, by the way, for everybody listening, this does not include the Thursday game. We don't include the Thursday game only because here's the thing. By the time this gets done, I do a lot of editing work on my own, and I have to put this out, and sometimes it doesn't get out till late. So, listen, this is why we do this for Sunday. It's the only reason it's a short week. So, Dan, DraftKings lineup, give me your best shot, brother. Who you got?
So here's my logic before I start rolling out the names. So my quarterback's Tom Brady coming off of a bye week, coming off of a couple games that he had nice finishes to, where I'm hoping they finally are connecting the coach and him. With the offense. He's a value play also. So I have Tom Brady. Because I play Tom Brady, I was able to stack my lineup. So I got Tom Brady. I have running back one, Aaron Jones. I've got Alvin Kamara. I've got Mike Evans, Julio Jones, and T.Y. Hilton at wide receiver. I got Logan Thomas at tight end. My flex is Ty Johnson. And I had to throw some scrap in there with the Jets on my defense.
I love the scrap yet. Okay, so we got Brady, we got Aaron Jones, we got Alvin Kamara, we got Julio Jones. Who's your other two receivers?
Mike Evans, T.Y. Hilton.
All right, so we got Mike Evans, T.Y. Hilton, and then we got Logan Thomas, right?
Yes.
Tight end?
Yes.
And who's your flex?
Ty Johnson.
And the Jets, they're going double Jets there. I like it.
Didn't think of that.
That's all right. That's all right. I like it. Here's the funny thing. I'm looking at this, and I think we may just have one guy that's similar, which is very interesting. So my lineup again is my quarterback. Listen. He killed me last week. It was one of the wrong picks I had. I went Herbert over Allen.
Yeah,
I'm going Herbert again. There's no way. There's no way Josh Herbert is having a bad week again. Before this week, right? It's a guy averages 25 points a game. And, before he had this bad week, he was consistently 21, 22, 23 points. So I'm going to go Justin Herbert at 6,800 because I have some tremendous players coming up. So I went with double stacks. Okay. So my running backs are Aaron Jones and Melvin Gordon. I love the Melvin Gordon matchup, $5,200. I love it. Aaron Jones against Detroit, who's packed it in, playing for nothing, in my opinion. Fantastic pick. 20 points per game, 7,600. I love it. Then I'm gonna stack Jones up with Devontae Adams. I know it's $9,300, but again, Detroit stinks. Sorry, Jason. They stink. So I'm going Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams is that stack. Then I'm going to grab Keenan Allen. Okay, because I'm going to stack him up with Justin Herbert. And then my fantastic find in Traquan Smith at 3,300. My tight end, Dawson, or what is it? I keep forgetting the guy's name.
Schultz.
Schultz. Dalton Schultz. I got to think of Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. But right? But Dalton Schultz. And here's a first, Dan. I'm going double tight end. My flex is Evan Ingram for the New York Giants at 4,300, 10 points per game. I know we liked him last week. He didn't have a great week, but he did have 8 targets. So even though he only had 4 catches, he had 8 targets, still has a ton of volume. And Dan, we're tied. We're going Jets on defense because that's all the money I had left.
Yeah.
100. So we're going Herbert at quarterback, Jones and Gordon at running back, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, Traquan Smith, Dalton Schultz at tight end, my flex, Evan Ingram, and the Jets as the defense. So
I have it written down. I will play.
This is going to be a good matchup, man. I like it. I've never gone double tight ends, so I'm going a little wishbone here. I don't know. I like the way the numbers stacked up, so we'll see where we're at. Jason.
Wishbone.
Right? I've got a little wishbone here, man. Right?
That got me.
It's like what was the little the annexation of Puerto Rico or the Little Giants? Remember the Little Giants? That movie with Rick Moranis and Ted Bundy, Al Bundy, the shoe salesman.
Bundy.
Yeah,
Bundy,
the wrong Bundy. Oops. I gotta drink another one.
Versus the murderer.
Yeah, right. All right, Jason, what do you got, buddy?
All right. My quarterback is Aaron Rodgers.
Woo!
My running backs are Christian McCaffrey and Ty Johnson. I'm going to stack Rodgers with Devontae Adams. Coming back with some cheap wide receivers, Michael Gallup, Brashad Perriman.
Ooh.
Logan Thomas is my tight end. Brandon Ayuk is my flex position, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is my defense.
All right.
Oh, all right. Let's go down that one more time.
So we'll go slower. We'll go Aaron Rodgers, quarterback.
Right.
Running back is Ty Johnson and McCaffrey.
Okay.
The wideouts are Devontae Adams, Michael Gallup, and Brashad Perriman.
Michael Gallup and Brashad. Okay.
Tight end is Logan Thomas. The flex position is Brandon Ayuk. And the defense is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Nice. Man, you went double Jets. Perryman and Ty Johnson. I like it. But see, that's what you got to do when you spend all that money on Christian McCaffrey and Aaron Rodgers, right? And Devontae
I also
Adams.
did not realize that I did that, so
I know.
Not great, but
that's all right, man. Hey, man. Yo, like John said, how many pass yards is Jalen Hurts going to have, right? Somebody got to catch the ball for the Jets, right? Somebody's got to do it. John, I'm curious. I want to hear. We all know it's Jalen Reagor, so let's hear this lineup for Pittsburgh.
I already have a lineup in, so it's not Jalen Reagor in this one that I'm doing for this. So I got Matt Ryan, David Montgomery, Wayne Gallman. I'm just like a mix of everybody else that has already put in a lineup at this point. Julio Jones to pair up with Ryan. Mike Evans. I'm sticking with Tim Patrick another week. Save me some cash. Save me some cash on some Logan Thomas. My flex, Derrick Henry. I like how I slid that in as my flex. You know what I mean? I wanted to wow you at the end, with my Derrick Henry.
You got to hurt my feelings right at the end. Yep.
I think he's going to dominate this week. I really do.
He plowed us in right at the end.
And, I have no Jets on my roster, thank goodness. But I am going across the street to the Giants for my defense.
All right. I like that. This is great. It's a great idea, Dan, because I can't wait. I can't wait to flex my discount double check world championship next week on the belt. Who had the best lineup?
Hey, that's my guy.
Hey, Tone, can I throw something out to you?
Yeah, man. What's up?
Let's say we had a crystal ball. We've got the magic 8 ball, whatever tool you want to use, right? And we shook it, and it says 2 players. One player has 2 receptions and 3 targets. The other one has 5 receptions and 7 targets. Who are we going with?
So wait, are we talking about just
that's all the data we get from this magic 8 ball. So that's the data you get. 2 receptions, 3 targets, 5 receptions, 7 targets. Who would you go with? That's all the data we get.
So we have to pick players?
No. All right, I'm screwing this bit up.
Yeah, talk to me. Yeah, talk.
Essentially, you were to say, of course, I go with the guy with 5 receptions, 7 targets.
Oh, okay.
And then I would say you just passed up on Dan Arnold. For Anthony Firksker.
He only
had
2 catches for 51 yards, 52
and 2 touchdowns.
51 yards, right?
And 2 touchdowns.
But it's funny.
That's fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. That is, and that's rolling the dice because I threw them out there. I throw 4 out there every week, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm watching Red Zone. I jumped up and down. Man, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, Dan Arnold, like, I didn't expect that to happen. Like, this is great. And I had people hit me up on Twitter about Dan Arnold. I'm like, oh my God, like, what's the odds? And then Monday night, I just missed the trifecta, man. I took Isaiah McKenzie, Gabriel Davis, and Kendrick Bourne. And Kendrick Bourne had a touchdown, and they called it back because his knee was down. And I'm like, oh, You got to be kidding me, man. Like, that would have been a trifecta. That would have been classic. But I love picking those low value guys. It's so much fun, man. It really is. Rick says a couple of you guys are doubling up on the Jets. Should I be worried about taking the Seahawks over the Jets in my Survivor League? No.
No. We went gum on the bottom of a shoe defense. That's what we did.
Exactly. And Rick, I'm not forgetting you, man. Like, listen, you're my PGA guy. I'm going to get you on here with this PGA, so you can't hide. I know where you live. I know where you work. I know where you're at, brother. So we're going to get your PGA takes on here before we know it. That's 100%. But now I think you're good. Seahawks, I still can't believe the Jets won that game. I could not believe that, man. Like, I'll tell you what, how fast is Henry Ruggs? Woo! Man, that kid is lightning fast, man. But talk about just throwing it up, and we've seen that so many times this year. So lackadaisical defense. It's been really, really bad. Dan, that was fun. Thank you for that. I like it because now I have more stuff to watch on Sunday, which I love. Because I'll tell you, I'm breaking out my WWE Championship belt if I win. It's going to be sitting. Right here.
I'm playing all your lineups because I'm not just here to.
No, I know.
To me, it's fun, of course, but I respect all your opinions, so I'm playing them.
Well, I respect everybody too, but I'm a prick. I got to gloat a little bit too. So. Look at John. Like, listen, I don't know if you guys know this, but and shout out, I know he listens, Mr. Mike Diaz from the Green Legion. My man labeled me as I have a club called the 10%ers. And he said, because I'm only 10% right on all my takes. So I just flip it. So I'm actually 90% right, just 10% wrong. But he may disagree, even though me and him been on the same page lately with the Carson Wentz situation. But what we'd like to do every week is we throw some either or. We play this fantasy roulette, which I think is great. I try to really stymie these guys a little bit and take two pretty comparable guys against decent matchups and see who they would pick. So we used to tally this. I should tally, but I'll just tell you what. I got too much shit going on to be doing all this stuff. So if you want to go tally it, go back and watch the replay and listen to the podcast, damn it.
I said Waller.
What's that?
I said Waller.
Well, see, Dan, listen, Dan remembers, which is good. I like it. But we're going to start right back at the run. We're going to start the running back position this week. And this one we got right here, and we heard both these names mentioned tonight. We got Wayne Gallman going up against David Montgomery. And again, this is strictly based on a DFS scoring system, strictly on DraftKings. It's basically, listen, who do you think will be in the Firebox this week, meaning who will score the most points? Me personally, this is a tough one because I think they're very, very comparable. They are. But Wayne Gallman to me has just been the consistent guy for the New York Giants. I mean, listen, I love the guy. They're going against Arizona, but he has done nothing but prove that he can carry the load for the Giants, whether he scores or not. Listen, he got 135 yards last week, right? He was averaging 8.4 yards a carry. They leaned on him at the end of that game. He didn't score, still gave you 16.5 fantasy points. So for me, it's Wayne Gallman. Dan, who's in the Firebox this week?
I go Montgomery.
Ooh, I like it. You sold on him after last week, huh?
Well, he's been. This wasn't a last week thing. It's been a gradual buildup for him, and I mean, ironically, the one silly thing you have to worry about is Patterson vulturing his red zone carries, but other than that, I like them both. I mean, again, you put two great similar guys together, but I'm my first instinct says Montgomery.
I like it. Jason, who do you think, buddy?
You know what? I like both these guys too. Like you said, Gallman has pretty much scored a touchdown in every single game except last game, which he had 135 yards. So I like him a lot, but I'm leaning Montgomery. Let's not forget that Montgomery's going against Houston. Houston can't stop anybody on defense. So I like the amount of rushes he's going to get per week, and I like his matchup too this week. So I'm going Montgomery.
I like that. John, I think I know where you're going. Where are you going, buddy?
Montgomery.
I knew it. I know you picked them on your squad.
Yep. I think I have them both on my squad.
Yeah, I think you do.
He does.
Yeah, I have it written down. Yeah, you do have them both.
So there you go. I like them both.
They're eerily similar. It's just going to, honestly, it's going to come down to who can score a touchdown. That's what's to come down to see who reigns supreme. Quarterbacks, I had a good one, man. Kirk Cousins or Big Ben? There's another one. Kirk Cousins, again, he started off slow last week. He scared me a little bit because I did take him. He was going for that trifecta, a 303 touchdown game. And it was getting started off really slow, man. And Tampa Bay's been very shaky on the defensive side of the ball. I thought they were going to be a lot better. They've been very, very shaky as of late. So, it's something that, it's something to keep an eye on. But I'll tell you what, Big Ben with those weapons out there in Pittsburgh this week, he against, they lose to Washington, and Ben didn't have a great game. So for me, it's a bounce back game for Big Ben, and I'm going Big Ben on this one. Dan, where are you going, buddy?
Yeah, that's
that's tough, man.
Because every week we love Thielen and Jefferson. But I love Claypool, Johnson, Schuster. Ebron's been tearing it up. And Ben did play like crap. I think now, ironically, a team with one loss has something to play for now, because they don't want to lose their positioning to the Chiefs. So I think Ben comes out strong. So I'm leaning Ben.
Yeah, I like that. John, I'll go right to you with the Pittsburgh jersey. Are you going with your guy, or are you going with soft-ass Kirk Cousins?
I think they're both
leading the witness.
They're both going to stink this week. I mean,
look at that.
That's my opinion. This week. Cousins is going to stink because Tampa Bay's defense is going to shut him down. Ben's going to stink because it's outdoors in Buffalo and it's away. He always plays better in home games. I don't think he's going to have a great game, but I'll go with Big Ben out of the two.
I'll go with Big Ben. Jason, who you got, buddy?
I was going to make that same exact point that John just made, and I was kind of pumped about it, and then John stole my thunder. I want nothing to do with Kirk Cousins at Tampa Bay. We saw what they did to Aaron Rodgers earlier this year, and I think the same thing's going to happen this week. So I don't love Ben this week either, but I think I'm going to go Big Ben too. Stay away from Cousins.
Yeah, I like that. I like that pick. I do. I really like Big Ben. Rick says, I'm here with you guys. PJ tournaments don't start to the new year. You're right, Rick. That means you have about 2 months to get your ass ready to be talking some PGA for Heat Ratio Sports.
Just for the record, I'm a huge PGA guy too. I play DFS every week, so
even better.
I watch the tour. I watch it religiously too.
This is great. I love it. Listen. Golf cannot be understated. How much I love that sport, man.
DFS really. Golf may be my favorite sport. It's awesome. Yeah,
it is. I love it. Hey guys, what's up? What's up, Tim? How you doing? Thanks for checking in. Al, as always, Ben all day. Kirk, please. Who would ever take it? I'm telling you, man. It's like last night we had the Mr. Softy music on. Kirk Cousins is the softest quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry. He is. I'll ride him for 3 or 4 games. That's about it. It's always good for every year. After that, it's done. He's a turd. And right now he's going right. What's that?
Michigan State doesn't make them like they used to. After I finished there, they started making them a little soft.
See, exactly right. Yeah. Listen, Kirk Cousins rode right. He rode the 3-4 game stretch. Now he's right back to turdism. That's where he's going back. Right back to Turdville.
That's funny.
Yeah. So we're gonna look at the wide receivers here. Here's another good one. We got Stephon Diggs or Allen Robinson, and A-Rob for me. Listen. I'll tell you what, man, for what he's been able to do for the Chicago Bears, who, listen, it's been a revolving door at the quarterback position. It's been a revolving door at the play calling position, from the quarterback to the offensive coordinator to the head coach. It's ridiculous. And up to last week, 108 targets. He's going to hit 90 catches easy this year. But listen, I cannot talk enough about the guy. On the other side is Stephon Diggs. Everybody said he wouldn't be the number one guy. They gave up too much for Stephon Diggs to get him with Josh Allen. Josh Allen couldn't throw. Listen, we've heard it all before, but he is going up against Pittsburgh. That's a really, really tough matchup for Stephon Diggs. And even though he had a decent week, okay, he did. But, I like Houston. I think it was Jason alluded to him earlier. Houston can't stop anybody, whether it be through the air or on the ground. I have to go Allen Robinson here. I think he has another big week. He's going to be in the 20s. I think this is going to be a double-digit target number. He's going to get close to 10 catches, over 100 yards, and at least score a touchdown. So I'm all in on A-Rob. Dan, what do you think, buddy?
No, I'm Allen Robinson also. Diggs goes through silent times as well. And Robinson's really their main threat at wide receiver. And I'm leaning Robinson. And look at the game Beasley had as well. But so, he could be now stealing some of the looks that went to Diggs. But another beautiful combo, though, to choose from. That's tough, but I'm going to go Allen Robinson. Yeah,
it's funny. You mentioned Beasley, and we talked about Denver, but quietly, Buffalo is really building them a really nice receiving core out there. I mean, they get Cole Beasley cheap, right? They trade for Stephon Diggs. They draft Gabriel Davis. They draft Isaiah McKenzie. They have a decent tight end. They have 2 nice running backs, all led by Josh Allen. So, I mean, it's really nice to see what they've been able to do. And we'll say this, in a matter of 2 years, they've been able to build that around under Sean McDermott. So,
it's funny, Tone, now?
Kudos to him.
Tone, what's funny is, I mean, it wasn't like yesterday, but not long ago, they had Robert Woods and Sammy Watkins together. The Bills.
That is true.
So they screwed the pooch on that one.
So here's another one. I got to think of the other guy. I seen a stat for Buffalo. It was because of Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley were the first 2 guys since Lee Evans, and who was the other receiver for Buffalo?
The big strong guy, Molden.
No, it wasn't Eric Molds.
No,
it was.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It was Lee Evans and somebody. I can't remember the other receiver, but they were saying it was the first time that two wide receivers in Buffalo had over 100 yards receiving in one game since Lee Evans and I forget the other guy for Buffalo. I'm going to look that up before the show's end because it's going to bother me. But yeah, it just shows you. I mean, they've had some nice receivers out there in Buffalo. Al checking in said Diggs all day. If Robinson had a real quarterback, maybe. That's the thing. I get that, but he's been able to do that irregardless, which just shows how talented he really is. Jason, who you got here, buddy?
I am going with the pride of Orchard Lake St. Mary's, which is a high school that is 10 minutes from my house. Allen Robinson this week. Imagine if he ever had a quarterback that was worth a damn in his career. I mean, have you ever seen an elite receiver that has had worse quarterbacks than him? I mean, Blake Bortles, and then the situation they have in Chicago right now, it's terrible. Wow. So, but having said that, I do love Allen Robinson. He just continues to put up huge numbers. So I'm going Robinson this week.
That's, I'll tell you what, that's, it's crazy when you think about it that way. It really is. John, what do you got, buddy?
Diggs. I'm going opposite of you three. I'm just Diggs, even though it's Pittsburgh's defense. Look, I think there's going to be some points scored, and Diggs is going to be the guy that is going to be the focal point when that pressure is coming from that Pittsburgh defense. Josh Allen's going to be keying in on Diggs, not having time to look at their third option and Gabriel Davis. So I'm going Diggs.
No, you sound like you had no love. What's that about? What's wrong with Gabriel Davis? Gabriel Davis. What's wrong with Gabriel Davis?
He ain't gonna catch no balls this week. That's what's wrong with him.
Man, it's like a lot of heat for Gabriel Davis. I don't understand that.
I started him in one of my lineups last week, not season long, but
yeah. So I still like Robinson. Jenna checking in. She says Stephon Diggs. A lot of people are on the Diggs wagon, which is fine. I get it. I just love what Allen Robinson has been able to do, and I just think Houston really, really stinks. They really do. We're finishing this up with the tight end position. That's another good one. We got T.J. Hockenson from Detroit, who seems to be the only capable pass catcher on that team, and Evan Ingram, who seems to be able to do everything for the Giants. Now, I understand it's probably still going to be Colt McCoy, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be. I'll tell you what, man, I took him in the wishbone. Like I said, I like Evan Ingram this week. I do. I love number one. I love his number. Arizona is not as good as they've been over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And Evan Ingram, again, the last 3 weeks, 8 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets. I mean, listen, we're talking 27 targets in 3 weeks. That's no joke. That's going to turn into fantasy production. So, I'm going to go Evan Ingram. John, I'm going to go to you this time. What do you think, buddy?
I was trying to pull up their matchups.
Look, see, John's trying to cheat. That's
What
what
do
it
you
is.
mean?
Come on, man. You got a free flow here, bro.
How is that
Let's
cheating?
go. Let's go.
It's Arizona. It's Arizona for Ingram and the Packers for Hawkinson.
Yeah, somebody's prepared.
Oh, come on now.
Hold that home.
Yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah. I'm going to go Hawkinson.
You like TJ. I'm curious to see where Jason goes because this is Detroit's own right here.
I'm going Hawkinson too. I like his matchup this week, to be honest with you, with the Packers. And like you said, the Lions don't have anybody at wide receiver, so the targets have to go somewhere. So I like Hawkinson. That's basically because I don't like Colt McCoy throwing the ball to Ingram. So
Yes,
I think Hawkinson's a good play.
That could be true. I get that. Jenna says she goes with TJ. Dan, are you thinking the same thing?
Yeah, because I've been riding Evan Ingram week in and week out. I've been talking about him, and he's in most of my lineups. But Hawkinson was also targeted 9 times last week, 7 for 84, I believe, 9 targets. He is the security blanket for Stafford right now, and so and Ingram is explosive, but again, the quarterback's a concern, and I would go Hawkinson.
So Al checking in says Ingram was very talented, but he's inconsistent. But I will take him. Exactly, and he is. I mean, last 3 weeks have been really good, and the concern of Colt McCoy is real and legitimate. I just think that I like the way they space him around. They do a lot of different things with him. I even seen him run a jet sweep a couple weeks ago. So he does a lot for that team, and this has been the first year he's actually been healthy for a tremendous amount of time, which has not been the norm for him throughout his career. So definitely different offense when they have Evan Ingram free flowing.
He's a terrific talent.
He is, man. He really, really is. He's, who, it's going to sound crazy, but I should say, how do I want to say this? Who he reminds me of a guy who what should have been, we worked up in Philadelphia.
LJ Smith.
LJ Smith for a year. We were always expecting more from LJ Smith. And I think what Evan Ingram is now is what we wish we had. I know at least that's what Donovan had in LJ Smith. That's for damn sure. 100%. And Al says, and they are saying the quarterback. So see, that's serious. There you go. So Al's saying quarterback should be back this week. So if they're saying Daniel Jones is back this week, that changes a little. You can't use that Colt McCoy factor there, brother. So, but that's okay. I still like Evan Ingram. I know you guys will, who knows? Again, this is Wednesday. It's so hard because we still have 3 or 4 days of preparation. That's why I love the Sunday shows because you have the up to the minute updates, and you just never know what's going to happen. But final thoughts, Dan. I'm gonna go. We're gonna do a little Tommy Lawrence. She does final thoughts. Let's do a little final thoughts, Dan. So your final thoughts could be from week 13 or going ahead of week 14. What are your final thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I take notes every week. One of the things that was funny, I remember John responding, Dan, if we all had crystal balls, we'd be millionaires. And he was right, because I was alluding to Tennessee destroying Cleveland. And we were talking about a blowout game and catch-up ball. And look what happened. It was a complete flip of the script. So that was a shocker. How about, we don't value defense, which I understand because you can't with all the people you have to plug in. But how about the Dolphins with 13 straight turnovers? 13 straight weeks of turnovers.
That's crazy.
So, that was a stat that impressed me.
That's Brian Flores, man. I just can't say enough about what he's done out there in Miami.
And I guess my final thought, it's nothing, exciting, but Derek Waller, we were talking about Kelsey really shouldn't be valued as a tight end, and you could actually play him as almost your, your third receiver and maybe play a cheap receiver instead of a cheap tight end. Where is the other elite tight end? And we thought Waller, crapped the bed and he was done for the year. Well, one hell of a bounce back.
13 catches, 200 yards. It's like I see that. I was like, what?
Yeah. So
Unreal.
And that's the kind of talent that Evan Ingram can be, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Really is. Jason, you got a final thought?
Yeah, it just goes kind of back to DFS and the way that you build lineups. I think you got to look at the overall trend and the full season when you're building your lineup. I think so many people get caught up in, oh, this guy had 30 points last week and this guy only had 3. It's like sometimes weird things happen, right? Sometimes, I was going to say Devontae Adams, but he never has a bad game. Sometimes DeAndre Hopkins comes out and puts up 8 points in a game, right? That doesn't mean next week you should be low owned. I think people get so caught up on what have you done for me lately in fantasy, and I think it's more important to look at the big picture. So that's my one advice. And also I want to point out, so I'm playing John this week, right, in our matchups.
Yeah.
He unintentionally is trolling me, I think, with the Le'Veon Bell jersey, knowing that I'm a Michigan State Spartan. So I think he did the unintentional troll this week.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely unintentional. I chose the Le'Veon Bell jersey because the Steelers need to find a running game. There is madness to which jersey is chosen every game. That's why it's Lev Bell today. I'm trying to rekindle a running game for the Steelers.
Right, hey, Tone, real fast.
I'm just kidding. We obviously didn't know we were playing against each other either. So, but still funny.
But Tone, building on what Jason just said. I just mentioned Waller as the oh my gosh kind of moment from week 13, but kind of build what Jason just said. You can't necessarily then jump on him to play him this week. You can't chase stats and points from the previous week either. He's playing the number 1 defense against tight ends in the Colts this week. So that would scare me away from Waller, despite the fact he set the world on fire last week. So that goes along the lines of what Jason just said brilliantly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I love it. 100%. 100%. John, final thoughts.
It's fantasy playoffs for us season-long people. This is what you worked all year long for. So don't overthink lineup decisions. Stick with your studs. The only time you play matchup is when you're talking about 2 people in the same category, not Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson. Okay, that's not a matchup decision. You play your Russell Wilson. All right. Easier said than done. I got a lot of lineup decisions, so I got to sift through. But this is, hey, and it stinks. More than likely, you're going to
watch the weather too, though. Watch the weather.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, I remember a couple years back starting. It was that snow game up in Buffalo.
The Eagles.
Shady against no.
Yes.
It was against Detroit.
I forget. All I know is that game had something to do with it because I didn't realize there was going to be a blizzard. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Snow Bowl, man.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
So, weather does play a factor. But, season-long playoffs, good luck. Losing, you're out. So, make the right call.
Jenna says her final thoughts are Pittsburgh gets 0 touchdowns versus the Bills. Somebody's trolling John. I love it. Al says, I think more than it has been in the past years, coaching has been very important, and it's showing the good coach teams this season. Absolutely, man. That's 100%. I will give you my final thought is every year, there are 1 or 2 guys that win you a fantasy championship. And what I mean is guys that either you pick up late or just come on late. And guys, maybe they've been injured. Maybe they were rookies and they're just finally learning the playbook. And I'm going to give you 2 that I think Justin Jefferson and Brandon Ayuk will be able to win you a fantasy championship this year. I think that there are 2 guys that when we look at week 17 and we review, a lot of people are going to say they had Justin Jefferson and Brandon Ayuk on their team. And again, the crazy thing is they're both rookies. And this has been an elite rookie receiving class, except for the Eagles. when we talk about fantasy production. I can't remember a time where we have so many productive rookies on a fantasy football roster. It just 2020 has been electric when it comes to that. So that's my final thought. I think anybody who has Jefferson and Brandon Ayuk, they are doing really well, and they're going to be on a lot of fantasy championship rosters. Great show, guys. Rick checking in. Thanks, man. As always, thanks for checking in, guys. Everybody, appreciate the love. We went 3 minutes over. All good. I love it. Keep this to an hour and a half. Again, give us the ratings, the follows. We appreciate it. Follow the YouTube channel at Heat Ratio Sports, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Every single one of these guys on Twitter, very active. They all got, I know Dan and Jason will both be on at AAT Birds, right? Did I get that right? All about the birds. Yeah. I always get mixed up with that at AA. It's just like it's a tongue twister, right? But at AAT Birds, right? That's it. AAT Birds. Yep. Again, check that out. You guys will be doing a show tomorrow night, which is great. Check them out. Jason will be doing some more props on Saturday for us as well. Dan will be doing, listen, supposedly the collective bargaining agreement was passed. He is our newly inducted NHL insider for Heat Ratio Sports. So we're going to be getting a lot of hockey talk going with Dan, and I know Trevor's going to like that as well. As always, John, for joining me twice a week, which is fantastic. Al, Andre, and me, we're going to get the time tomorrow. Check us out tomorrow night, NBA preview show. Me, Al, and Andre, again, two listeners, two part of the Heat Ratio Sports family are going to join me for the first time. And we're going to talk about some power rankings, some Sixers talk, and do we really want James Harden instead of Ben Simmons? So that will be tomorrow night. As always, like I say, stay safe, stay healthy. Good luck in the playoffs, and we'll catch you next week.